So to recap K-State basketball over the past few days, the Utah trip did not go as planned. You wanted to go into that splitting. I think that's in my mind, that's why I envisioned. I think that's what a lot of the fan base envisioned as well. You got to split that one to stay in the bubble conversation. And K-State went 0-2. Close loss to Utah, 69-74. And a little bit not as close loss to BYU, 65-80. BYU was a little more expected. BYU's a good team. Utah is not a good team, though. So that was not expected. That was a winnable one. They did not win it. Little frustrating. We can talk about it later. I just want to focus on the bubble conversation right now. And I also don't want to make this a very long video. I know I say that a lot and then the video ends up being 9 minutes, but we're going to keep it shorter today because really I don't want to be the guy that pumps sunshine, but I do want to be the guy that says it's not over and don't lay down and die yet when chances are still available. And chances are still available. It is still possible to get into the bubble and get into the tournament. Something to note though, K-State is still on the bubble, at least for now. That probably will change when Tuesday's games get played, which Tuesday is when a bulk of the men's basketball games get played. So that might change. It might change by the time this video is uploaded. We don't know. But right now, K-State's still on the bubble, so there's no reason to lay down and die just yet. BYU was obviously a Q1 loss. It was actually a quad 1A loss. And also, if you don't know anything about the quads, check out my next video. I don't know which corner it appears in, but it'll appear in one of the corners. You can just click on that. But Utah, which I didn't think a lot of people knew this or were expecting this, but Utah with the win against KU moved up into the top bracket, which is the top 75 of the net rankings, which made them a quad 1 loss instead of a quad 2 loss, which is huge. We'll see if Utah stays in that quad. I'm not sure. They're at 72, so they're right at the border of 75 right now. So we'll see. We'll see if that holds true. It looks a little less bad, even though I think most people would agree that it is a bad loss because Utah is not a very good team. But I digress. Either way, it's a quad 1 loss, so doesn't do as much damage. So what is K-State looking like for the rest of the schedule though? You got a quad 2 opponent. I keep wanting to say quarter. We got a quad 2 opponent in Arizona State, a quad 3 opponent in Colorado, and then 3 quad 1 games left. You got UCF in Florida, Cincinnati in Ohio, and then Iowa State, and that one is at home. Iowa State is number 8 in the net rankings, which would make them a quad 1A opponent and would give K-State a 4th quad 1A win if K-State is able to win that. The first 2 being KU, Iowa State in Iowa, and Arizona at home. So 4 quad 1A wins would look really good on the resume. It really would. It offsets a lot of the damage done. Now, I still think K-State probably has to win out. I've seen rumors that a 4-1 would get them in the bubble. I don't think that's enough. I think you got to win out. And even if you win out, I still think you have to pick up at least 1 or 2 in KC. Like I talked about in the previous video, KC is a neutral site place, so top 50 of the net would be a quad 1 win. And assuming K-State's playing on Wednesday, which I don't know if that's the first or second day, but K-State's more than likely going to get a quad 2 opponent for the first game, and then we'll start playing quad 1 opponents. Assuming that no, not even assuming. Yeah, they'll play quad 1 opponents, and then at least one quad 1 opponent, and then depending on, I guess, how the other matchups go, it might be a quad 2 opponent that they play later in the bracket. It just depends on how the bracket shakes up. But basically, I don't think K-State needs to win the Big 12 tournament in order to get into March Madness. I think if you can go 4-1 with a couple in KC, I think 5-1 is probably what you actually need though. Because K-State sits right now with a 13-13 record, a 7-8 Big 12. Is that correct? Yeah. 7-8 Big 12 record. Yeah, obviously not really great. So I think you can't lose more than 2 for sure. And by lose more than 2, I mean 1 in the regular season and then 1 in Kansas City. So I think 2 losses in the regular stretch, and there's no more hope at that point. But if you can go 4-1 optimally, I don't know how to say that word, but optimally you'll. This is why I'll never be an anchor. You go 5-0 is what you want to do, obviously, and I think 5-0 is very doable. This last 5-game stretch of the regular season, much easier than the 6-game win streak stretch that K-State did earlier in the season. So I think it's doable. Another thing K-State has to look out for is bid stealers. So bid stealers are teams that are looking like they'll make the tournament regardless if they win their championship or not, their end of season tournament championship. And then another team that had no chance of getting to the big dance ends up winning their conference's championship. So I'll give you an example here. And it's a great example because I'm wearing my Woo Shock today. Shout outs to WSU winning an overtime thriller against Memphis the other day. And Memphis is actually the example. So right now, Memphis is probably getting into the big dance. They're net 49. They have a 21-5 record. I would expect them to probably get into March Madness regardless if they win their conference championship or not. So if another team like Tulane, who's sitting at 155 in the net with a 14-11 record, if they end up winning the AAC championship, they'll be in the tournament. So that's a bid stealer because they weren't supposed to be in the tournament, but they got in anyway. And Memphis would still be in the tournament because of their record. I just want to talk about this because I'm not a lay down and die kind of person, and I see a lot of negativity on social media right now, which is totally warranted because, yeah, losing to Utah is really terrible, and the effort didn't look real great last night from most of the squad, in my opinion. I still think there's a path to getting into the tournament, and I don't want to lay down and die just yet because I think it's still possible. So that's all I want to talk about today. Yeah, that's all. Stay safe in the snow. Peace.